Alright, so we are back with another episode of Usapang Musiko Season 2. Sorry for the delay. Uh, the typhoon hit hard here also in our place here in Cavite. A lot of flooding and we had to clean up the place. And I hope everyone's doing good. Everyone's safe and dry. It's been uh, a hell lot of water and problems coming in for everyone. No? We're praying for everyone's safety, especially those mostly affected in the northern part of the Philippines. Also in Bicol region, after I think three straight typhoons. Hopefully next time uh, it would be a lot safer for everyone. Okay, so we're back at it, episode 11. Now, I'm making this because I got a call or a message just a few days ago, I think, about someone who wants to learn a song. No? So gave me, I think, was around the want to play for his wedding, but he has zero background in violin playing, and I've done this before. I taught someone who wants to play just one song for an event, and I told them, okay, sure, I'll teach you one song. But again, they don't have any background regarding violin playing. And why do people think it's easy to learn something from the violin? No, it's like they think it's the same way with keyboards or guitar or piano. You just pick up and play. But we will talk about these things, that how the violin may seem easy to pick up, but if you really work on it, it's something really hard to learn. It has a very, very steep learning curve. And why is that? We will talk about that. So basically, I've taught someone before the same dilemma. They want to play for an event. I think the last one I taught was for a birthday party. They want to play a single song. I think the song was like the summer note, something like that. It's like jazz standard stuff. Of course, it's not something easy for anyone, to learn. It's not typical pop song that's easy, when we talk about those things. Uh, what ended up happening was this person took lessons from me for like I think a month, and then they realized that okay, it's hard. And what ended up happening was they just hired me to play for the event, and I think it was a nice event that and successfully done. The problem was it wasn't the person who was supposed to play originally. They weren't able to play because again, the learning curve of the violin is not something that's easy. It's not an instrument you can pick up and play. Like I'm not trying to degrade other instruments, but how easy you get to learn something is not detriment to it being an easy instrument. No, it might be easy to pick up because the guys are there, but mastery is another thing. No, like the piano, I mean, you just need to know where to hit, which key to hit, and you don't need to deal with intonation. You don't need to deal with tone production that much. You don't need to deal with those things. Especially if you're playing on a good instrument, it would sound good, whatever, however way you might press it, it will sound good. No? Intonation wise, sound wise. If it's a loud instrument, it will sound loud. Well, however you want to push it. No? With the guitar, it's like, okay, if you know how to strum it properly and you know how to put your fingers down properly, it's already done. But in the violin, even though you know how to hold your instrument properly, but you don't know how to use your bow properly, it's game over for you. Okay, So why is that? No? I think because the violin is a very small instrument in the sense that it's easy to carry around. So a lot of people tend to go with these instruments, like flute, or maybe clarinet, and it becomes popular because of that. It's easy to carry around. The sound is nice, so a lot of people want to hear it. And with that, popularity doesn't mean it's gonna be easier to learn. It's just popular. But I always say this to my students: you don't see people walking around with their hands up, and doing this. It's not normal. Very, very far from normal. All the motions that you need to learn in the violin is something you acquire. It's like you're trying to walk again for the first time in your life when you're learning this instrument. Because all the movements, sometimes, yeah, I have students that they never realized that their wrist could do this, could move sideways. They only know that their wrist moves this. The awareness that you need, and even the understanding of your uh, anatomy and physiology, how your body works, will be part of learning an instrument. No, just in general, but of course, because these movements are not normal, are not natural in the sense that you don't do it every day, you have to take into account the time you need to learn these things. So maybe if you want to learn a song just for an event that you already planned, for example, you're 17, you're a girl, and you want to learn one song for the violin for your 18th birthday. So maybe a year of preparation would be good. But I think 2 months with a song that's quite hard, it's impossible, no? And it would also be something like people should understand that teachers aren't miracle workers. Okay, so your input, the student's input, is like 90% of what the teacher will work on, because the input the teacher gives will only be around 10%. So the teacher can only work with what the student has already. Okay. It's like you're sculpting something, diba? It's easy to take out material, but to add material is a different thing. So this is the same thing with teaching or pedagogy, diba? We talked about that. You can only do so much with what your students are giving you. It's a cliche term, especially in school, no? Even in elementary, high school. Like, teacher always say, you're the ones who make your grades. But in reality, it's true. You can only do as much with as much input coming from the student as well. So if you don't have any background and you just want to learn one song, just for the sake of it, maybe pick up another instrument, something easier to pick up and play, like guitar or keyboard or piano. That you just need proper positioning. That's the only key that you need to learn so that you can play properly. Because with the violin, yeah, you're working with almost like two instruments, that your left hand is doing another thing and your right hand is doing another important thing. Both are important for you to be able to play. So you need to master a ton of movement, a ton of different movements in order for you to be able to play decent, not even good, decent. No, give me 2 months and maybe you can play a decent song, but it's not gonna sound that good. Those are the things you can consider. Okay, let's go into it. Let's deep. Let's go deeper. Okay, we talked about the body movements of the violin, of course. Wrist movements aren't natural. We don't use a lot of wrist. Finger movements also are not really natural. Uh, when I say the term natural, it's like, okay, you don't need to think about it. No? Like holding a pen, for example, or When you're eating, holding a spoon, you don't need to think about where your hands will go if you're trying to hold something, or even holding a cup, opening the doorknob. These are natural movements that we are accustomed to doing. But a lot of these movements don't involve the same motions and muscles needed in violin playing. Okay, I've been talking about the main problems encountered by beginners. You can check out my violin tips and tricks playlist for those things. Like this one, the problem with the wrist. Why are the beginner's wrist always going like this? Is because they fear that the instrument might fall. But why do they fear it falling? Is because it's not natural to lodge something into your neck between your chin and your collarbone. It's not natural. So it takes a lot of getting used to. Diba? Also, this is just to support something because we want to grip, we want to hold. It's a very, very natural thing for humans. No? As babies, yeah, we tend to grip a lot of things. And it translates to our instincts, the natural instincts of humans to grip onto the neck of the violin if we hold it. So you have to erase, in a way, those natural instinctual actions that you do if you want to be good with the violin. No? Now, for the right hand, for the bow hand, of course, it needs to be relaxed, soft, firm, moving like they what they call this? Paganini's time, they said his hands were like a handkerchief blown by the air while it's moving. So something it's very very unnatural, but looks so natural in a way. Like if you're familiar with ragdoll physics, no, like okay, your hands are just waving around, something like that. It's not natural in a sense that you do it every day if you're not playing the violin. But if you get used to it, it looks natural. So the thing is, people are deceived by how it looks because if you see a professional play, it looks so easy, right? They look so relaxed. They look so uh, at ease at what they're doing. But it took them a lot of time for them to reach that level of confidence to do those things. No? Even music students, no, when I see a video of mine from like 5, 6 years ago, 3, 4 years ago, I tend to look at myself and wow, I was so tense back then. No? Because I'm still developing. And that's the thing about music, it's a never ending development cycle. It's a process, not a destination. If you want to be a good musician, you have to embrace the process of doing these things. It's a pretty important thing to understand. So, again, those body movements are like, we're only talking about the mechanics here. We're not yet talking about the other things that would also matter. So, we're talking about body movements now. And not just the movements itself, but the weight you need to apply. You know, it matters a lot. The bow pressure, the finger pressure, the finger speed. So you fine tune these things, and it's not exact. It's never exact. That's why it's harder to really get what do you call this, sort of secured. No, it's not really something you get to secure at an early point in your learning. Sometimes it takes years. Um, Maybe if you want just one song, will take you around 3 to 6 months to really play it decent. If it's a complicated song, and it's not that like Twinkle Twinkle, I can make you play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in like 2 sessions or something. But of course, if you want to play the whole thing, a whole song, pop song, jazz song, it would take a lot of time. because the nuances that you need, right? It's really, really important that you understand these things so that you can set your expectations straight when you're trying to learn the instrument. Next one is the theory behind. Okay. Now, not a lot of people have good ears. That's why, how do you secure if you really want to learn just one song? It's either you memorize a pattern on the fingers, diba? It's quite harder if you don't read the notes in the long run. So note reading is really important. And note reading is the same as words. When you're studying notes, you have to look at it like a language of its own. And you know how hard it is to learn a new language. And that's basically what note reading is. It's basically learning a new language. Those notes might look all the same, but put in a line, put in the space with a different clef, it changes every time. No, there's no one note that could you can put a note in the middle right here and just change the clef. The note names changes, the pitches change, and everything else changes. So it's really something you need to to grasp and understand. No? It's something that you can just pick up and play. Okay. It's easy for other instruments because the patterns are there, but uh, let's call the violin a melodic instrument, and memorizing melodies requires a lot of intonation and rhythm just to get your melodies correct, because wrong rhythms will equate to wrong melodies, right? If you wanna play a song, here's the thing: popular songs might have like simple chord progressions, but the melodies become complicated, and I don't think people realize how hard it is, because if you sing, you're just looking at the flow of how you pronounce words, right? But you don't pronounce words with the melody, or you don't pronounce the notes. So you have to follow that. And if you write down in notation, you will see there's a lot of syncopations, a lot of offbeats, a lot of those things that aren't really natural if you're just starting out. Because if you're starting out, I'll start you out with quarter notes and half notes, eighth notes, right? But you're not going to be uh, going to play syncopated rhythms already at the start of your playing, right? You don't. You don't. So those things are something you need to consider if you're starting out. So and also here's another thing why the learning curve is so high is maintenance. Yes. Why does this impact learning? Okay. Strings string instruments in general are one of the most high maintenance instruments just because they're made of wood and the strings always break. No? That's why uh, what do you call this? Wind orchestras have been popular because the maintenance cost of wind instruments are lower than strings. Because if you're a professional musician, if you're a string player, especially a violinist, you change strings like 3, 4 times a year. How much are strings? Yeah. At least for brass instruments, you don't change a lot of parts regularly. I think you just need oil, valve oil, and uh, proper care. But instrument care of the violin is very, very high maintenance. And why does this affect the learning curve? Because if your violin is not set up properly, if your strings are not as good as they need to be, it would be harder for you to play in tune, to play correctly. It won't sound as good as you need it. And it really affects the playing. No? That's why people Sometimes if they're having problems with the instruments, okay, my violin doesn't sound good. You have to send it to your studio, have it set up, and how much does setup cost right now? Let's say around minimum 1,000 pesos to around 3 to 5,000, depending on the damage or problems that you're encountering with your instrument, diba? It's really, really expensive to maintain. And if you don't maintain it properly, that's the time that the learning curve becomes steep, actually. Like, for example, if you get a new violin, your bridge isn't cut, you won't be able to play properly because the action of your strings will be high and it will cause your fingers to wear down easier and tire easier. So it's really something you need to consider if you just want to play a certain song or if you really want to go all in. No. I mean, it's not bad to dream of playing the violin because, of course, it's a good instrument to really understand and learn. But you have to invest a lot of time and effort in order for you to get good at it. It's not something you learn in a month and then done. No. You will miss a lot, and if your progression is too fast, you will miss a lot of the important parts of the fundamentals of the violin. So that's why you need to take it slow. In the beginning, it should be slow and steady. And as you grow into more harder stuff, that's when it actually becomes faster. Yeah. Because if you get the basics right, everything follows suit. Okay, last point is, yeah, mastery. As I've told you, learning the instrument is never ending. Learning any instrument, the journey is never ending. And you can always, always be better than what you do. So, a lot of people just stack up on repertoire. Okay, I'm gonna play this, I'm gonna play this, and just stack it and never really master or refine. And it defines a lot of the playing that you see. If you don't really put in the effort to mastering the craft or the pieces that you already know, even though they're easy pieces, as long as you really master them, they become better sound design. So there's always a lot of room to improve. It's not just okay, I'm done with this. It's you throw it away. No, and it adds to the steeper learning curve because you might hear someone play the same piece and sound far superior or far better than how you play it, and you have to learn that as well. No? And how do you find out what things to improve on and things to learn, things to understand? Those things are pretty important. No? So it's really a part of the problem of playing the violin in general. So that's the learning curve. But of course, it's always up to the musician themselves. If you really want something, you go and grab it. Nothing can really distract you from what you want. But you have to really set your expectations because time is your enemy here. If you don't put in much time, I'm not talking about, okay, you need 8 hours a day, but the time you need to absorb the knowledge that you're learning, to apply it when you're playing, it takes a lot of time. You know. Even though you're practicing, say you just want to go at it and practice 8 hours a day, how long will you absorb it? Because we are sponges, when it comes to knowledge, and how fast you absorb it will depend on your experiences on other fields or on other things that may or may not be related to music in general. But if you really work on it, you might get a chance to play it and it becomes good. So you just you just have to manage your expectations. So if you really want something, you get it. Maybe instead of playing for your wedding, play for your anniversary. That would be quite farther. So to learn something, I think, well, for me, if you ask me, if you just want to learn one song, it's not worth it. No. If you want to learn something, learn it because you want to, not because if you're just gonna learn once, it's like, okay, I just want to impress someone, and that's quite bad in a sense that it's quite toxic to just learn something just to impress people. No, if you want to learn something, learn it for yourself, and people will appreciate that more. It's more genuine that way. No, and if you want to learn something, go all in. There's nothing to lose. No, all to gain, especially when you learn music or musical instruments, because you're not gonna hurt anyone. It's all for you to gain. You're gaining more than just the knowledge in playing. You're gaining more experiences and expressing yourself. No? People use music as an outlet if it's not their work. No? So if you're using it as your outlet to become better at other things that you're doing, it's better. It's been proven that students who play in music groups get higher scores in math, reading, and other subjects that aren't even related to music. So it's really a win-win situation if you want to learn music. So if you really want it, go all in. Don't hold back. You just okay. I just want to play a song, and that's and it's really not a good idea based on my experience. No? I thought maybe the two, three people for those things. No? But some of them kasi have musical backgrounds, so it's easier. But if you're really not into music or you don't have any idea about playing the instrument, it's gonna be hard. So try it out and find a mentor. That's the best thing you can do. And also, yeah, just set your expectations. And I'll end this podcast with that. By the way, I released a new single. It's called You'll Never Be This Young Again on Spotify. It's now available also on Amazon Music, uh, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, Pandora, and a lot more music platforms. You can download it, stream it, play it. I hope you enjoy it. And I'll be releasing more music, original content in the following weeks. Yes. I have two more coming this November. I'm planning to release more, but I don't know the release schedule just yet. Also, please do follow me on my socials. YouTube, we're almost at 900. I hope we reach 1,000 before the year ends and hopefully get two more covers. And yes, follow all my programs. This is the Usapang Musiko Season 2, and I'll see you on the next one.